Good morning. Welcome to another day in business math. We're going to be covering section 4.2 today in the textbook. It's about trade discounts, but we're going to find out if anybody's got questions first on 4.1, which was profitability with using the profitability number line diagram. How did it go when you got home and did your homework on your own? Felt like I was getting real positive looks yesterday from everyone, that the number line helped put some meaning into those vocabulary words that we were using. I think you'll discover that in this chapter, a lot of the concepts aren't difficult. It's a lot of new vocabulary. And if you've got a real good understanding of the vocabulary, it's not a difficult process as much as knowing what the words mean. So is there anything about the homework we need to discuss? Any problems at all? No? Great. Okay. Then if you'll get out your notes, we're going to be working on trade discounts. At the very top of my notes, there's a message that says, one of the most difficult concepts in this chapter is knowing the difference between the part paid and the part saved. We are going to be using old change new to do some things, and I want to talk for a minute about that model and about what I mean by that. I'm going to use some very easy numbers. We're going to be putting percent here, and we know we start out putting 100 on old, right? If you are buying something that costs $40, and let's say that that item is marked down 25%. You know that the change is then a negative number, right? And we're marking it down 25%, and that's the part, that's the percent that you save. And that you would then have 75% for being the new, and that would be the percent that you pay. Does anyone just know? I used 40 as a really easy number so we could sort of talk about the overall concept of what we're doing here. If I'm buying something 25% off that it's originally priced for $40, does anyone know how much I pay and how much I save by just doing some quick calculations in your head?
Save $10.
You save $10 and you
Pay 30.
pay 30, right. These numbers go here. This is the part you save. These are the dollars that you save. And these are the dollars that you pay. As the numbers get more complicated, what you've got to keep in mind is what is the part, the percentage that I'm saving, what is the percentage that I'm paying, and again, what is the amount that I'm saving and what is the amount that I'm paying? The most common mistake is that people get those mixed up. Okay? And so when we're talking about those numbers, when we're talking about save, we're talking about change. When we're talking about pay, whether it be percent or dollars, we're talking about new. We're paying the new amount. We're saving the change. Is that okay? And we'll just keep talking about those words throughout the class, but you'll be amazed at how many times you'll get those confused. Okay? Next idea. If you are in business, and again, this topic for Chapter 4 is retailing. Oftentimes, there's a suggested manufacturer's list price for items. Many things are pre-priced. I think about potato chips and things in the grocery store that have got a pre-ticketed price. Furniture might be, another item that is set up to sell at a given price. Well, you're obviously, if you're in business, not going to pay that price, because if you paid that price and sold it for that price, you wouldn't make any money. What you're entitled to, since you are in business, is what's called a trade discount. You would buy something at a discounted price so that you could put it in your store and sell it and cover your expenses and make a profit. Okay? When we're talking about a trade discount, it is offered to businesses or individuals to buy an item that's going to be sold, or it's going to be used to produce an item that's going to be sold. What you actually pay for the item is called the net cost. Okay? So, list price of an item is what you're going to sell it for in your store. Trade discount is what you're going to save. Net cost is what you, as the owner of a retail business, are going to pay for an item before you go and put it on your shelves. All right? So, net cost equal the list price minus your trade discount. Are you with where we are? Okay. So, I'm going to come up over here, change my piece of paper, and say, we have a radio that's got a list price of $89.95. You want to buy it to put it in your store, and I'm giving you a trade discount today of $30. So, what's a word that we sometimes use for the price that a retailer purchases an item for? Does anyone know? Somebody said it, I heard it. Another word, wholesale, right. Sometimes that's another word that's used. So, we always are going to start out putting 100 on old. In this particular case, the list price of this radio is $89.95. Is that all right? You're getting a trade discount because you are in business off of that price of $30. It's a discount, so I'm going to subtract. What's the percentage that you're actually going to pay? 70. Question is, what is your net cost? Where am I going to put the X? Am I going to put under dollars change, dollars new? Good. How come you said that?
Because I'm trying to find what, I don't know.
Sure you do. Go ahead. And you're correct. You got the right thinking. How did you know that?
Because
I'm asking for net cost.
yeah, you want to know how much you're saving, right? Or how much?
I don't want to know how much I'm saving. I want to know how much I'm paying.
And you don't
Paying. Are you with me?
I don't want to know the change.
We don't want to know the change. We can calculate the change if we wanted to, but if we wanted to go directly to what is your net cost, then the number that you're actually looking for is next to new.
Because you're subtracting the discount.
You're going to subtract the discount, right. But no one asked you for the discount. What someone asked you for is net cost. So this is going to be up here, list price. This is going to be save. Remember, change is always save. Pay is always new. The question that you're asked is, what are you going to pay? Pay is new. So we're going to put our X right here. We're going to then set up a proportion that says 100 became 70. Instead of 100%, I'm paying 70%. Christine, does that make sense? I know that makes you sometimes uncomfortable, but do you see what I'm doing with that proportion?
It's just when I read it in a word problem, it's not the proportion itself.
It's getting it on the paper under old change new to begin with. Maybe?
It was, well, really the one problem could have been worked either way.
Right.
That was what I have problems with.
Is knowing which way to do it. Mm-hmm. And you're right, the particular problem that you and I talked about the other day could have been worked as a rate problem or as, because we were asking for a rate percent of change. Okay. This is going to say then as 89.95 is to X. We're just going to totally ignore change because we're not interested in how much we're saving. We're really interested in how much we're paying. So cross multiply, and what do we get?
$6,296.50.
Oh, just a second here. Now, come on.
62.97.
0.5.
Now, let's talk.
$62.
Is your answer reasonable? And thank you for sharing your answer with us. And I'm not picking on you. But if I'm going to pay, if I'm going to sell something for $89.95, it's a radio, $89.95, a radio for $89.95, are you really going to pay $6,000?
No, not at all. Then you're going to take that and divide it by 100.
Okay. You just are just
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that.
No.
I got the answer.
What'd you get?
26 or 62.97 is
Cool.
what you paid
62. What we're going to pay right here is 62.97. Okay, you were just doing the first step of cross multiply. Okay. 62.97 is what we're going to pay. And Keith said a little bit ago, and if I needed to, I could just subtract and find out how much I was saving, and that's true. You can back into this number by taking $89.95, subtracting the $62.97. So if I was giving you this problem and saying, what is the net cost? Pay is net cost. And if I asked you what the savings was, you could calculate it to be $26.98. Net cost is dollars paid. Is that one all right? New topic, new thought. Sometimes you are given more than one discount. The first discount might be a discount because you are in the trade, so you'd be entitled to a trade discount. And I might, as the person that's providing this item to you, have too many of them in stock. So I decide to offer an additional discount as an incentive for you to buy more. When I do that, these are called series discounts. I can offer more than even one discount, or two or three. Those are called a series discount. When I do that, I would list them this way. Let me show you. Let me flip my paper over. That would be an example of a trade discount that would be called a 20-10. It's saying, originally I'm going to give you a 20% discount, and since I'm overstocked and I'm trying to move this merchandise today only, I'm going to give you an additional 10% discount. Is that all right? And there could be another slash and an additional 5% discount if you do it, before lunch or something. So a combination of two or more discounts is called a series discount. Can't spell today. Be a series discount, and they're written that way. They're called trade discounts, and they're in a series. Who thinks that if I gave you a 20 followed by a 10% discount, it would be the same as a 30% discount? And who thinks it's different?
It's different.
Fran says it's different. What do you think, Keith? Different. Anybody think it's the same? Oh, darn, I don't have any takers. Marilyn, do you maybe think it's the same? Okay. We cannot add those together. You're right. So what we want to do is go through the process of figuring out what a 20% discount followed by a 10% discount will be. So let's get started on old change new. We're going to do a 20% discount to begin with, followed by a 10% discount. Find out what kind of money we're talking about. Same radio. What I'm going to put under old in the second discount? Thank you. $71.96 is what goes under old in the second discount. So we'd have $71.96 followed by a 10% change. New then is going to be 90%. How much am I actually going to pay for this radio?
$64.76.
$64.76. In my last example, whoa, where did it go? It's on the back of something here. I'm flipping too many pages. In my last example, what I was paying is $62.97 with a 30% discount. With a 20/10% series discount, I cannot add those together. It is not a 30% discount. It actually is going to be a pay amount of $64.76. Next question. What if instead of a 20/10, I offered you a 10/20? Is that the same as a 20/10? Yes or no? Sandra says, I think it's different. Karen says, I think it's different. Marilyn thinks it's different. Okay, let's take a minute. Get on your sheet. You've got places to put your magic numbers. And let's do a 10 followed by a 20% discount. And when we get done with these 3 examples, we'll come up with some new techniques for doing some of these things, okay? We're not going to, on these series discounts, do multiple steps like this. There's a shortcut way, and we're going to show you how. So talk to me about what's happening on a 10 followed by a 20% discount. What's our net pay?
$64.77. It's just a penny difference, depending on rounding. It's a penny. Yeah, I had another. I had 86 over there.
It's a rounding situation then, but it's the same thing. That's right. Here are the 3 examples all together on your worksheet. The first example is a 30% discount coming up with $62.97. The first example is a 20% discount followed by a 10. The next example is a 10% discount followed by a 20% discount. I end up with $64.76. Some of you are saying that you're a penny different on there. But yes, indeed, a 20/10 is the same as a 10/20, but neither of those are the same as a 30% discount. Okay? Is that all right? Questions? So, wow, if we have 3 discounts or 2 discounts, going through all this is a complicated procedure. There's got to be a better way, and there is. New word, complement of a discount. You knew this one earlier. If I give you a 25% discount, its complement is the part you pay, 75%. Take 100 and subtract the 25, you get 75. What would the complement of a 20% discount be? 80. Very good. What would the complement of a 95% discount be? 5. Or the complement of a 5% discount would be 95. The 2 numbers add together to be 100. Right. So, new vocabulary word. Complement of a discount is the percent paid. If I give you a 5% discount, the complement is 95, the part you pay. In decimal form, it would be 1 minus the decimal of the percent you're saving, like 1 minus 0.25. If I was saving 25%, it would be 0.75. If I'm leaving it as percentages, it would be 100 minus the 25, which would be 75. When you have a series discount, if you multiply the complements of the single discounts, then you get the percent paid. Let's go back to our example. Let me pick these off of here. In our last example, we had a 20 followed by a 10% discount. What would the complement of a 20% discount be? 80. Put it as a decimal. 0.8. What is the complement of a 10% discount?
90.
90. Put it as a decimal. 0.8 times 0.9 equal 0.72. This is the percent that you pay. As a change, that would be 72% is what you pay. How much would you save? That's right. The reason that 10 followed by a 20% discount is identical is if I do a 10 followed by a 20, what that's saying is originally you're paying 90% and you're actually paying 80% of that. So 9 times 8, multiplication is commutative, it doesn't matter which order we're doing them in, is 0.72. Once again, you're paying 72% and you're saving 28%. So in cases where we have these series discounts, what we're going to do is multiply together the complements and come up with the percent paid to go directly into our formula. Let's use this 0.72 and do our radio one more time. Say enough radio here. This is old. This is change. This is new. We're going to use 72 right down here under new. Are you with me? Tell me what number when we use 72 there we come up with, and you're right, 28 goes in here. I'm going to take 72 times 89, and again I'm using it without the decimal because I'm calling it a percent, divided by 100. 6476, which is the number that I got when I did those two discounts, one right after the other. So I can just use that complement. This percent, this 72, has a special name. It's called net cost equivalent. The number on the other side, if you remember, under dollars, is called the net cost. So the percent that you pay is called the net cost equivalent. That's the percent that you pay. The dollars that you pay is called the net cost. Those words make sense? So when I ask you what the net cost equivalent is, it's the percent that you're actually paying. It's the percent that you're paying. Top of the next page. A lot of vocabulary. Homework's going to kind of look like this. What is the net cost equivalent of a 20/10 series discount? You're going to say that's 0.8 times 0.9, 0.72. Net cost equivalent. What that is the percent paid, 72%. That's the decimal. We're going to change it to a number without the decimal. We're going to change it to 72 when we use it. You actually pay 72% of the original cost. If you want to know how much you are saving, you'd have to calculate that number separately. And we're going to do that in a minute. Next question. What is the net cost equivalent? And remember, that's the percent paid of a 10/5/2 series discount. Don't round. Okay, we're going to get a pretty good sized decimal here, and we're going to work with it. So you're going to find the complement of 90, which is, I gave my answer away. You're going to find the complement of 10, and we're going to call that 0.9. The complement of 5%, which we're going to call 0.95. Complement of 2, which we're going to call 0.98. We're going to take 0.9 times 0.95 times 0.98 equal 0.8379. Changing that to a percent, you are actually going to be paying 83.79% of the original cost. That's called the net cost equivalent. Does everyone know where I'm coming up with these crazy numbers like 9, 0.9, 0.95, and 0.98? Ingrid, is that making sense where I'm coming up? I can see there's some blank faces out there. Okay, that's what we want to stop and do then. Are you seeing my 10, 5, 2? Okay. Take 100 and subtract the 10. That's 90, right? 90%. Change it to a decimal. If you've got 90%, you get 0.9 when you change it to a decimal. If you are saving, when you go shopping, 10%, you are paying 90%. 90% switch to a decimal is 0.9. Okay, here we go. The middle number, 5. Take 100 and subtract 5. 95, yes. So if you're saving 5%, you're paying 95%. Switch it to a decimal, 0.95, yes. Take 100 and subtract 2, which is the third number there. I get 98, so I'm going to make it 0.98, and then I multiply all those together. you're paying 90%, then you're paying 95% of the 90%, and you're paying 98% of those two. You're paying a total of 0.8379, which is 83.79%. And that's the part that you pay. What if I wanted to know how much I was saving? Allison, if I was paying 83.79%, what would I be saving? How would I figure out what I was saving?
Just subtract the 83.79 from 100 and
Absolutely.
the % that you saved.
That's right. And how you would figure out what you were saving is start out with 100 and subtract the 83.79, and that would be the % that you were saving. So now we're going to do a problem that says the list price of an item is $399.95. You are a retail store owner. The manufacturer's rep has come and discussed this item with you. They've offered you a 20/10/5% trade discount. Yes?
Why don't you round it?
Because we want to be exact. We have no reason to not be precise.
Instead of having 84, you have 83.79.
And we're not going to round.
Okay.
And I'll kind of keep putting that on test things. Do not round, because some of these are going to turn out to be decimals. But if you're dealing with, you know, the kind of money that you might be dealing with at a Walmart or a Kmart or a Target or something, I mean, even a 10th or 12th of a % could be a significant amount of money that they're not going to give you extra. We want to know if you've got a $399 item that you're given a 20/10/5% series trade discount, what the net cost equivalent is going to be. And the net cost equivalent, you remember, is the % paid, which is what? % under new. And we also want to know what the net cost is. So the net cost equivalent is the %. The net cost is the dollars under new. And those are concepts that are going to be on here that, you know, obviously those things in parentheses are not going to be there on your homework, and they're not going to be there on the test. Those are little helpers to get you going so those words make sense. But you need to, when you've got your old change new model up, keep in mind that under %, that part paid, new, is called the net cost equivalent, and under dollars new, that is called the net cost. So we want both pieces of that, the net cost equivalent and the net cost. We've got to come up with a net cost equivalent first. We can't come up with a net cost without it. So, Ingrid, can I pick on you? Sure. What numbers am I going to multiply together to come up with a net cost equivalent of a 20/10/5? What's the first number I'm going to use?
0.8.
Nice. 0.8 times
0.9.
0.9 times
0.95.
super. 0.8 times 0.9 times 0.95 comes up with 0.684. I'm going to write my $399.95 under old, because that's the manufacturer's suggested list price. I'm going to take 68.4, because I need to change that to a %. This 0.684 is a decimal. I need to change it to a %. We're not going to round it. We're going to leave it at 68.4, and I want to put my X under new. Net cost equivalent is 68.4%, or 0.684 if you're going to leave it as a decimal. We're going to cross multiply, and what's the amount we're actually going to pay for this? What'd you get?
What's number?
273.
273.57.
273.57, right. No one asked you for how much you were going to save. No one asked you for what % you were going to save. But if somebody wanted those numbers, you could very easily take the numbers that you have here and subtract them from old and come up with how much you're going to save, which would be the change, and the % that you're going to save. Questions? Does that work? Faces are looking okay out there. No one looking too bewildered. Okay, next example. It says, let's wide out a little bit here. The list price of an item is $49.99. You've got a 15/12/2 trade discount. What is the net cost? Net cost is always going to be new dollars. Again, you've got to figure out to begin with what the net cost equivalent is. Net cost equivalent is percent new. Oh, help me somebody. Holly, do you have that number yet?
No.
What numbers am I going to multiply together?
73.304. Do you want it to go that far?
Yes, I do.
I hate that.
I know you do. Deal with it.
It just doesn't feel right or something.
I know. But yes, we don't want to round. We've got 73. Well, actually, we start out with that we're multiplying 0.85 times 0.88 times 0.98. We're getting 70.73304. When we put it actually on the model for old change new, let me come in there. And that's how come we've got calculators. We've got 100 under old. We've got 73.304 under new. 49.99 was the list price. Pay is then going to be the cross multiply, 273.57. You can also see why in the very beginning I said, if you have other ways of doing these percents, please figure out my way, because we're doing lots and lots and lots of this class.
What? You're going to pay $273.57 for a $49.99?
Did I mix that up?
Yes, you
I
did.
did. What did I do wrong? Does that seem reasonable? No. You can tell I did this model. Oh, I wrote it down wrong. Okay, what is that answer?
36.64.
Yeah, I can see exactly what I did. 36, tell me what?
64.
Okay. No, and I told you to be reasonable. You can tell what I did. At least it was the answer to a different problem, not just some really squirrely answer that I came up with out of nowhere. Good. Is that one all right? Now that we've got it straightened out? Next one's got a little bit of something different. We've always got to be doing something a little bit new to keep things interesting. It says, and we'll talk about it, Troy sold a dozen tables. He sold them for $1,912.50. Does that number go under old or under new? New, sold. That's the part that somebody paid. He had given discounts of 25 and 15%. We want to know the list price. Are we getting our radar out and figuring out where these names go? List price was old. It was original. And we want to know, this is really a trick problem, how much the list price was for each table. So once we get all done, what do we need to do? We're going to get the list price for a dozen tables. And once we get that number, then we need to find out how much one table cost. Everyone see that what we're looking for is old dollars. We actually were given new dollars. We know what somebody paid. What we want to know is what the list price was. What's the net cost equivalent?
Okay. Whoa, that looks big.
Allison, did you come up with the net cost equivalent yet?
63.7.
Yeah, 63.75%. We did that by taking 0.75 times 0.85, coming up with 60.6375. We're not going to round. We're going to use 63.75 over here under new, which would be the net cost equivalent. We know that the net cost was $1,912.50. So we're going to put 100 is to 63.75 as X is to 1,912. What did we find out that the list price was for that dozen chairs? $3,000. That was for a dozen. The question is, how much was it for each table? We need to know then that a dozen is 12, right? So we're going to take 3,000, divide it by 12. And what did we end up with? $250 for each chair. We could have also taken that $1,912.50, divided it by 12 originally, and then the number that we would have gotten when we got list price would have been the $250. So we can either divide at the beginning to find out how much the each chair was when they paid for it, or we can divide by 12 at the end. Doesn't matter. If that number had been gross instead of dozen, does anyone know how much is in, what's the number of items in a gross? 144. It is a dozen, right? That's another common, and I think in your book there is a listing of different quantities, but those two are pretty common. Okay, next page. New word. Oh, great, more vocabulary. We keep talking about that part, save. Let's go back to my original example. You are originally thinking that something costs you 100%. If you actually pay 75%, how much do you save? If you're paying 75%, how much? Patrick, I know you know. 25%, right. Anytime you want to know the amount that you are saving, if you know the amount you are paying, you can subtract it from 100 and come up with the amount that you are saving. When we use that number with a series discount, we take the net cost equivalent and we subtract it from 1, and that gives us the single discount equivalent. In our example of a 20% discount followed by a 10% discount, we realized we were paying 72%. That was the net cost equivalent. The single discount equivalent everyone came up with was 28%. Remember 0.28? That is what the discount would have been if I'd have only given you one. Instead of the 30% discount, you know, when we could not add the 20 and the 10, the single discount equivalent that would have given you that same discount would have been a 28%. Okay, so let's talk. We're going to complete a table here. I'm telling you that I'm giving you a trade discount of 17%. The other things that I'm telling you is that the list price is $149. The net cost equivalent is 83%. The single discount equivalent, or the part you're saving, is 17%. Set it up on an old change new table and come up with the net cost. If you do that, we end up with $123.67. That was not a series discount. When you don't have a series discount, then the percent that you save really is the single discount. And the net cost equivalent really is 100 minus the discount. Now we get a little more complicated. I'm going to, and I've already got these numbers written in here. Whoops, wrong direction. See if I can't center that just a little bit better. I'm telling you that I'm giving you a 2015 series discount. The list price is $310. I want you to tell me the single discount equivalent, the net cost equivalent, and the net cost. First, we need to calculate the single discount equivalent. What numbers are we going to multiply? Come on, Josh, help me. 0.8 times 0.85. Good. 0.8 times 0.85. When we do that, we get 68%, which is 0.68. The single discount equivalent is 100 minus 68, or 32%. What that's telling me is a 20% discount followed by a 15% discount is the same as one discount of $32. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry,
these two numbers need to add to 100%. Anyone have any questions about the definition of those? Then let's do the work. I'm going to put 100 here, 68 here, 310 is under old dollars, cross multiply, $210.80 is the net cost. Net cost equivalent is 68%, single discount equivalent 32%. All right. Okay, new problem. I'm going to tell you, let me put this one up here by itself, that I'm going to give you a 30, 10, 5 discount, and that the net cost for this item to you is $897.75. I want to know what was the list price. What is the net cost equivalent, and what is the single discount equivalent? Where are we going to begin? Karen, do you have an idea where we're going to start? How can we find the, well, first of all, we're going to set this up on an old change new thing, right? So let's start by putting our model up. Put percent here, and put dollar here. That's where I always start. Okay? I'm giving you net cost. I've got 5 boxes left. These boxes have names. Maybe that's what we should do, is put some names on these boxes. Because this really is a vocab issue. The name of this box, when you've got a series discount, is single discount equivalent. That's that one. That's the amount you save. The name of this box, when you've got a series discount, is called the net cost equivalent. Up here under old is list price. Under here is net cost. And this is the amount of savings. And I do think the hardest part about these story problems is the vocabulary. And that's really the vocab that you need to understand. Single discount equivalent, instead of giving you a 30, a 10, and a 5% discount, what if I gave you 1? What would it have to be? Discount instead of a series of 3. Okay? And I cannot calculate that directly. The number that I can calculate directly is the net cost equivalent. I do that by coming up with the complements of these and multiplying. So this is the number that I get when I take the complements of these and multiply. In this problem, I'm giving you net cost. I'm asking you to come up with list price. So where's net cost going to go? Under new and under dollars. Right. So we're going to put, and I'm sorry this looks so sloppy, 897.75 under new dollars. I'm telling you that's the, and what this is the amount that you pay. Net cost is the amount that you pay. I'm giving you the amount you pay. I'm asking you to tell me what was the original price. I'm also telling you the series discounts. I cannot directly come up with a single discount equivalent, but I can come up directly with the net cost equivalent. I do that by multiplying those complements together. What's the complement of 30? 0.7. Complement of 10, 0.9. Complement of 5, 0.95. So how we would start this problem is take 0.7 times 0.9 times 0.95 What's the number we're coming up with? 5.5985. So up here we're going to put 59.85. If I were to ask you for the single discount equivalent, the easiest way to get it would be to take this number and subtract it from 1. That number is going to be 0.4015, so 40.15 would go up here. These two have to add up to 100, and I can take the 100 and subtract the 59.85 to get that one. Looks like a big bowl of spaghetti up there on the screen. What I'm actually looking for is list price, so that's where my X is going to be. What of those 6 numbers do I need to set up in a proportion to solve the problem? 100 over 59.85 is the same as X is to 897.75. Let me write that down and get it on the screen. See if we can figure that one out. Okay, there's my mess. All the numbers that I've put together. I end up pulling that proportion from them. Does everyone see where I came up with that proportion? You need to put the pieces together on the model, pull those numbers off into a proportion, multiply, and come up with the cross product. What did we get as an answer? What was the original? How much? Oh, I don't have the answer written on my sheet, so that's how come. $1,500. Great. Does everyone see that one? We are not going to have time to finish this sheet today. We've only got about a minute or 2 left. So I think what we'll do is go ahead and stop the tapes. We'll talk about the homework for just a few minutes. We'll do problem 2 and 3 on the bottom of this when we get back together on our next class session. So we will add those to the beginning of the class next time.